why does the other side of the street only applies to Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, but it doesn't apply to Wilder and Tyson Fury? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, this is Mike from EdgeNote50 TV, and we're going to be talking about why the end of the street excuse applies to Crawford and Spence, but it doesn't apply to Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Guys, this is going to be my last video I'm making overseas before I fly back to the UK. So I'm going to keep this nice and sweet because I'm going to get ready to leave any moment. But we're going to be getting into it as to why the end of the street always applies. Reason why we're talking about this is because recently Errol Spence and Crawford has been getting at it again. Crawford is accusing Spence of ducking. Spence is saying, I ain't no duck. So they've been going back and forth on Twitter about it, saying don't make any excuses about promoters and all that. If you want that fight to happen, you can make it happen. Tyson Fury and Terence Crawford on ESPN, Errol Spence and Deontay Wilder on PBC. So a PBC fighter and an ESPN fighter like Tyson Fury and Wilder, they got made. But another PBC fighter in Errol Spence and an ESPN fighter, Terence Crawford, can't get made. So why can't one ESPN fighter and a PBC fighter get made, but another PBC and ESPN fighter can't get made? People are saying it doesn't make much sense. But let me explain to you the reason why one fight got made and another fight won't get made. And it's very simple. Crawford and Spence, that fight can't get made. It's because PBC has got the monopoly of all the welterweight fights in that division. They've got Porter, they've got Spence, they've got Furman, they've got Pacquiao, they've got Garcia. So effectively, all those welterweights can fight each other. They'll still do good ratings and good TV. So they could cannibalize each other and not really have Crawford involved in it. They don't really need Crawford. Even though the fans would like to see it, PBC don't really care too much and they monopolize that in that sense. So they don't really need Crawford in that aspect of it. So that's why they have the other end of the street theory, because as long as you're on that side of the fence, then it's going to be difficult to get those fights made. And it's not only the PBC are doing this in regards to domination of a weight division. There's other platforms that does it as well. For example, DAZN dominate the middleweight division. All the top middleweights are in that division. Most of the belts are in that division as well. So, for example, they have Canelo, Andrade, Billy Joe Saunders, Triple G, Daniel Jacobs. He can move back down as well. So all those top middleweights are in there. And you've got Jamar Charlo's on PBC on the outside looking in. So it's not just PBC are doing it with the welterweights, is other platforms are doing it as well in other weight classes, which is a similar scenario. And that's where the other side of the street applies, unfortunately. Now, with Tyson Fury and Wilder, the reason why that fight got made is the opposite of what I said with Crawford and Spence. Now, with Wilder and Fury, they don't have the inventory of fighters for them to keep on fighting on their platforms. So, for example, Tyson Fury, how many top heavyweights do they have on ESPN? You can count it on one hand. You've got Tyson Fury, you've got Pulev, and that's it. I mean, they might sign Gerald Miller, but that's not officially announced yet. So, but other than that, what other top heavyweights do they have on ESPN? Not much. And then you go to the PBC. How many top heavyweights do they have on PBC? Not much. You've got Deontay Wilder, possibly Luis Ortiz, people would say, but I don't rate Luis Ortiz, but Luis Ortiz, you could probably say. But other than that, who have you got? Kaunaki, Dominic Brazil, Molina. I mean, like, you know, Andy Ruiz, people will say Andy Ruiz, you can add that in there. But in reality, that's not really a full inventory of heavyweights. And I'm not going to include Andy Ruiz, because when the Fury and Wilder fight originally got made, Andy Ruiz was a nobody. Let's remember this. He was a nobody that got kicked out from ESPN and just about scraped into PBC. So he was a nobody when this fight was announced. And when the rematch was officially announced, the day before the Anthony Joshua fight, Andy Ruiz was still a nobody, and everyone was talking about a SpongeBob kid fighting Anthony Joshua. So he doesn't come out the picture. So that's the reason why that fight got made, because PBC and ESPN don't have the inventory of fighters in that division for them to be fighting amongst themselves. And they both need each other to make it happen. So that's the difference between why Crawford and Spence, the other side of the street, and all that comes into play. But with Fury and Wilder, that's why that fight got made. So what do you guys think? Leave it in the comments below. I want to hear what you guys have to say. This is Mike from EdgeNote50 TV signing out. In the descriptions below, you've got all my social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Remember to like, subscribe, and also share. Share to the boxing community out there. Like I said before, this is my last video before I fly back to the UK. So my next video is going to be back in the UK and home soil. So anything else you want me to talk about, let me know, and I'm going to talk about it.